Hi, I'm Malin Cooper, and I'm going to be doing my celebrity analysis video on the Dolan twins. So these twins' names are Ethan and Grayson Dolan. If you don't know them, I'm just going to insert that quick little photo right there. And they actually started out on social media when they were only 13 years old. The platform they began on was Vine. So that app was what TikTok is now before TikTok. So it was the first form of it. And it was just used for like funny videos and skits and just super quick things. And they grew to fame very, very quickly. And they had over 2 million followers on Vine. So moving along with like the funny videos that they would post on Vine, they moved onto a different platform, which they moved to YouTube, and they became very, very successful there. They did comedies, they did vlogs, they did collabs, they did reactions, all very successful. Their most successful videos that I would say though were their collaborations. So one in particular they did with James Charles, and Emma Chamberlain, and that went very viral. There's a whole entire playlist on their YouTube channel that you can check it out, but those had like buku views on it. As far as their presentation on these apps, I would definitely say that they just wanted to be funny. Like they often did pranking my brother, like pranking my twin type videos. So they wanted to err towards the light and the happy and the funny side of it. So that's how they presented themselves. But another like important thing, like especially with like computer mediated communications, presented themselves with very different styles. They had very different vibes, and they made that very clear to their audience to show that like just because they were twins and that they were doing a similar thing like working on social media didn't mean that they were the same person at all. Like they had their own separate little like brands that you could say. And I can even insert pictures of the different ways that they like to present themselves. So on this side, I'm going to have Grayson style, and on this side, it's going to be Ethan style. So their audience would definitely always been like preteen girls, teenage girls in that area, just because they were around the same age at them. And they always presented themselves as single. Even like if they had a girlfriend, it was kind of kept quiet or it wasn't known to the public. And I would say that they did this because it boosted their brand to be able to be single. So like all these like millions of teenage girls thought that they potentially had a chance with Ethan or Grayson. Like even realistically, that probably wasn't the case. But even in my 13-year-old head, I'm thinking, oh, maybe one day if I go to Los Angeles, I'll run into him and he'll fall in love with me. So their audience was definitely preteen to teenage girls. They catered their message towards and adapted it differently. They made sure they never really said like the F-bomb. They never cussed too harshly or anything like that. They mediated that and made sure that it was appropriate for their audience members and their viewers. One thing that I really did always love about the Dolan twins and what made me like an avid subscriber and like follower of them when I was younger was how active they were among like their fans and their subscribers. Like they would always like comment back, and then sometimes they would do like subscriber of the week and things like that, like where you could like get shouted out, or so like they were very active among their followings. They even did like several meet and greets. Like they were very involved in that atmosphere as well. And along with that, one video they did, they were like bring a fan to the warehouse, and it was like literally some random subscriber. They brought her into their where they filmed their videos and everything. Connecting with their fans on an even deeper level than just replying to their tweets and commenting back on YouTube videos. I think it's very honorable to mention that they also had a philanthropy and advocacy called Love from Sean, because their father passed away from cancer. So they started an organization for research and support for cancer. And it's just like, I think that's a very like strong nonverbal and communication form that they use, because it's not always like pushed out constantly, them saying like love you, love you, love you, but it's just like in their like in the caption like below, it's just like here's this to support, like donate or whatever you want to do. So I think that's a really awesome nonverbal communication form that they have started. So leaning into what I just said, kind of about their father passing away from cancer, they had to go as far as like posting on Twitter and everything about, like, please don't come to our father's funeral, like, please respect our family's, like, grieving period and all that, because fans were, like, so crazy to the point that they were coming to their houses, they were showing up to the funeral, like, they were doing all this crazy stuff. So I think that's, like, one side of being an influencer that people never think of. They think of, like, the glamorous side. They think of having millions of followers. They think of, you know, like, getting to meet all these different celebrities, but they don't think about the fact that their personal life, like, truly isn't personal anymore. And the fact that that even happened to them, I remember when it happened, and I was just beyond appalled, because I can't imagine, like, breaking into somebody's house, or especially during such a crucial, like, and hard time for someone. So that was really surreal that they had to go through something like that. And ultimately, like, things like that resulted in them quitting YouTube. With them having over 11 million subscribers, which is a lot, they ultimately decided to quit YouTube in 2021 just because they were just getting too much publicity. Like, it was like their life was not ever going to be the same. They weren't able to go out in public. They weren't able to live a normal life of a 20-year-old guy. So they decided to step away from the camera. And since then, it's in 2023. It's been like 2 years, almost 3 years that they've stepped away from the spotlight. So, yeah. If I were to be a social media influencer and take off what they were doing and then add some of my own creative touches to it, I would definitely say that I would want to collaborate with some big names like they did. Like, collaborating with Emma Chamberlain and James Charles was probably the best public publicity, public relation, whatever you want to call it, best PR stunt that they could have done for all four of them, because you had a huge following on James Charles, you had a huge following on Emma Chamberlain, and then putting them all together just, like, really skyrocketed them all together. So that was amazing for all four of them. So if I were to try and do that, I would definitely, like, do a collaboration. And you've also seen that with things like the Hype House with, like, Charlie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, Lil Hoodie, all those people. Like, I think and that came along after, like, the sisters collab. So I think, honestly, they could have been one of the first people to, like, have a huge collab like that and seen it grow. So then they decided to take the Hype House and do something similar to that. So I would definitely incorporate that into any type of strategy I would have in growing my social media. But one thing that I would like to incorporate would be to use TikTok versus YouTube, because I feel like YouTube is just honestly like a dying social media platform these days. People still use it for, like, academic reasons, I would say, more so than TikTok, because you're going to need, like, a more in-depth video for a lot of things when it comes to, like, tutoring. But for an everyday, like, funny comedy, just because our brains are, like, wired to only, like, focus for 7 seconds now that we've gotten used to it, TikTok is definitely the way to go to gain more traction, and it's easier to get that traction quicker because of the scrolling and how the algorithm pushes out so much more content than YouTube, in my opinion. So I would definitely lean towards using TikTok. I hope you enjoyed this celebrity analysis of the Dolan twins. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out or contact me at mcoot48@lsu.edu. Thank you.